Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. My name is Ryana, aka Ryana King. You are watching the Ryana King's podcast. On today's episode, we're going to be diving into a very juicy, interesting conversation, and that is, does the Black community know how to show love? And joining me in this conversation, we have our beautiful guest. To introduce our guest, we have...
It's your girl, Janati K.
I go by the name of Nelson Amazing.
How y'all doing? This is Kobe.
Hey, I'm Yanni.
Hey, I'm Sheena.
Thank you guys so much for joining me in this episode. I really appreciate you guys being here. Before I get into the conversation of does the Black community know how to show love, growing up, I've been told a lot that love starts from home. That's where everything stems. That's where we learn how to show love or what love even means to us. So my question to you guys is, how was love portrayed to you guys back at home growing up? And Yanni, I would actually love for you to start.
Well, for me, I will say, growing up, the love and Betty Crocker style of life wasn't the norm. My family were very divided. We were very separated. Very, every man for themselves. We didn't even sit down and have dinners. So for me, coming up, and dealing with relationships and navigating my way through the dating life and everything like that, I've had to kind of map out my own journey based upon, trial and error, things that I just know that I feel like I want, things that I feel like I don't want, and so on and so forth. So I do feel it's a very important thing to have in life, growing up, a lot of love, because it builds confidence, it gives you self-character, it really definitely puts you on the right path to be able to present yourself in the best way possible in the dating world.
So I guess you would say, so in your opinion, does the Black community know how to show love?
I feel like that's a double-edged sword of a question, because do we know how to show love? I agree we do. A norm from Black families is we go hard for our family. Regardless of what is going on in the house, we're going to ride for whoever we ride it for. So that's a love in a way. But as far as, that's more of us against the world. We know how to do. But us against each other, no, we don't know how to do. In my opinion, because it's always a problem. We're always quick to criticize the next person or to judge the next person or, point a finger with four pointing back at you type of situation. So, we need a little help on that in my opinion.
Okay, does anyone have an opposing view on her stance? Do you guys feel like Black love within the family, a Black family, is always in a negative light, is what I'm saying? So us against the world is, yeah, for sure, we're going to rock for each other, but in the family, do you feel like that same love is being portrayed? How we portray to the world?
Yeah, both my parents came from Ghana, so that type of love. I mean, from us, what I was taught, the love is from the Most High God. So that's just the basis of where that is. So if the Most High ain't in it, it's not really love, as far as I'm concerned.
So, Didi, how about you? How was love portrayed in your family?
I think because my family is so chaotic, I learned different about love. I think love was solving people's problems for me, because I didn't want to add to their problems. It was more so I wanted to solve their problems. It was a previous discussion that was being made previously about being an empath, and I feel like that's what I am. I internalize so much of what other people deal with, only because I feel as if I can solve it. God gave me the given power to solve it. If I can, I'm gonna do it. So I don't really feel even now, my mom just started normalizing saying I love you. She was never doing that before. So even my siblings, I don't even think we say I love you. We just know we alive, we good. That's it. So
how about you, Nelson?
So for how I feel is because I grew up with my grandmother. I never grew up with my parents, and I just feel the way I was raised by my grandmother is we need to care about each other, all the time, sharing things and all that. But speaking of Black community love, when it comes to relationship, a couples, a guy and a girl, I feel we don't really have that. compared to like
Other race.
other races. Just like in a way that we only looking at the picture of like that moment. Like we don't think of the future. Like, you know, like a white side is like they'll think about their kids. Like they'll be like, okay, let's open an account for our future kids. You know what I mean? So they can be straight. That's love already. You know what I mean? At that point, that's already love. But I feel like we lacking that kind of thing. Like we only looking at the moment of our love, and we don't look at the future and how we're gonna spend the rest of our life together, what's gonna be next, and all that. So when it comes to that, I feel like we're lacking on that part. But when it comes to, as the way she said, like when it comes to like friendship wise, like riding on each other, for example, like your friend, like, you know, we really down to like, you know, ride on each other and fight against each other about what's going wrong.
I think most of us, I know I just met like some of you guys, but I know most of us relate on having our parents be immigrants. And I know that there's an educational barrier among us when it comes to us being first generation African Americans. And I feel like my mom always says, like, if she went to school, if she knows how to read, if she, you know, did what we did, she could provide more. And I feel like with her, that's her showing her love to us. Be like, if I had the power, I definitely would do it, you know? So I think with her, I feel she takes it upon herself as if like she didn't go to school, she never really partake in like the basic needs of society, and she feels as if she failed us as a mother. But in reality, she did the best she could to bring us even here is even a blessing.
Right.
So I think it's about everybody's perspective and how they choose to go about it.
Yeah, because touching on that further, as you know, I'm not a first generation immigrant kid or anything like that. Like my family is all born here, as far back as I know. So it's just like, that's why I feel, I'm not saying it's a difference, but at least from my side, it's a little bit of a difference, because being an American born African American or whatever, it's kind of like we have a whole history of trauma and stuff that we're still trying to break through and like learning how to love. Because if you think about it, say with slavery, your master to put you in line or to keep you in check, he beat you. And then after they were free, your husband and wife, to keep his wife in line, he beat her. To keep your kids in line, he beat them. And it's like we might portray that as a love or as a, I'm just trying to teach you because the world is going to do this and that. But it's like, actually at home, you're my first taste of love. We're making ourselves the first taste of like hate, of evil, of pain. Because it's like, instead of teaching me why what I'm doing is wrong, or instead of teaching me and showing me like, you know, I guess positive reinforcement and so on and so forth, you chose to keep me in line or correct me versus just tell me I was wrong, bro.
Right. So it pretty much stems from the past traumas of what they've always
like
known.
Generational, I guess you can say generational curses in a way. You can say PTSD. Honestly, either way, at the end of the day, it's all trauma that stems from the history in general. And I think it even caused us to pit each other against each other, like African Americans versus just or blacks versus African Americans. Because at one point in time, a black person would have been so mad if you like, oh, you an African booty scratcher. Oh, how dare you call me that? And vice versa, African, oh, you black. What you mean? I am from here. Like, so it's just like, why are we so? Oh, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that. When second, we all the same shit for real. We all the same stuff.
Right. So stemming off of that, where you spoke on, you know, that's just what you guys know. And I did a podcast with another creator about the diaspora war, and one of the stuff that she told us is, well, Africans get offended when we call them African booty scratcher, but that's just what we do. We make fun of people. So what I'm saying all of this is trying to say, like, is just what you guys know, and or what you know.
We tried to run away from that part of us because of the fact, like I said, this country had a way of making it seem like we were wrong for being that. So we tried to run away. So if we weren't directly born there, we must be better, because I'm not directly from there, so you can't call me that. Versus, damn, I was really stolen from someplace, and y'all just tricked me out my brain into being something totally different.
Right, but I brought that up to say I feel like the black community, black people, regardless of if we're from Africa or from America, I think we don't give ourselves enough credit for how much we love.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we might not love in the way that you describe, like set up a bank account for your kids or, make sure they're straight for the next generation, but we definitely show love in our own way.
But are you taking shit and saying it's love? Because abuse and telling me that like I look bad, or if I'm expressing myself in a way you don't agree with, telling me I'm wrong or I love the wrong person, that's not love. That's what we mistake too. We mistake like abuse verbally, mentally. We mistake that for love because they're supposed to be looking out for our best interest. But that's not always the case.
But that's one way that they show love, and it may not come off in the best way, but there are other things that they do that they definitely let us know that I feel like black people in general, even with Africans, we're not really good at verbalizing love the way the Western world verbalizes love. Like a white person would say, I love you, but then you hear the next minute he's yelling at the mom or talking to the mom disrespectfully. Do you really love me? It's like, so they show their own a little bit more verbally and let the world know that I love you. Whereas black people, we are more actionable.
We can express ourselves verbally without being mean or without being nasty. And I think that's where we need to take our accountability. Sometimes we can be the stereotypical angry black people. And that's okay. Because, you have emotions, you have feelings. Just own that shit. Own it. Like, admit, I was being a little aggressive because I was passionate about it. Or because underlying that hurt me, that made me feel some type of way. That you're not faulted for. You're faulted for when somebody's saying you're being aggressive and you're being aggressive and you're arguing that you're not being aggressive.
I'm really interested to hear what your thoughts are.
I'm also an American. I came up in that Betty Crocker home, actually, and love was shown through actions. As black people, we all do struggle with the language, and I feel like as Americans, like you said, it's the history of trauma, generation to generation. When your grandma wants to show you love, it's not always, oh, you're so sweet, you're so cute. It's like a Joan. She coming at your neck.
Why your hair on your head like
We're the same for us too.
Right. It's like you're in the headlights. You're like, whoa. Like I talk to my white peers or any other culture, and they're like, oh, my grandma makes me cookies, and she shows me she loves me in these obvious ways. And then you go back to your household, and it's like, well, man, I don't know the last time my mom baked something, but she said she loves me.
Well, she might not bake something for you, but she probably show love in another way.
Exactly.
And maybe she knew that you were upset with her, and she would just come into your room. I made some food. Like she would not necessarily tell you.
No, you gotta say I'm sorry.
Well, do you really have to? Okay.
You gotta say it.
My mom don't say I'm sorry. She does not say I'm sorry. She's like, you better fix yourself, or that's it.
I don't think if any African parents would come and tell you I'm sorry.
That's
I mean, my mom will.
Like once you get older, building certain relationships with your parents, once they become grandparents, you become a parent, and then you can have a different conversation so that your mom could be like, yeah, I remember you did something like that to me, and I remember how I handled it. So now that I see it as a grandma, I'm like, don't talk to my grandbaby like that. But mom, you talk to me like that. I get that. I've learned, so I'm teaching you, and so you can do different. Like they're trying to help. Now that's obviously, that doesn't happen in every household.
Right.
But at
That'd
the
be
same
long
time,
overdue though. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah,
Like, they could have been did it.
taking account. It really holds with the accountability part. We can show love. We just can't take accountability. So then we put up guards because it's like, oh, you just called me out for something and I don't want to admit. So now I gotta go, tell tucked.
Great conversation. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to dive into how love from home is impacting our love lives. Like, how has it either enhanced our love life or not enhanced our love life? And with that in mind, we'll be right back.